I did not fall in love loudly. I let silence choose you for me. In a world that kneels before crowns, my heart bowed only to your name. I learned patience from the desert nights, how stars wait without complaint, just like me, waiting for a glance that feels like destiny. If love is a wound, let it bleed truth, for some pains are proof of loyalty. I carry your absence with honor, like a sword that knows its sheath. They ask me what keeps me standing. When storms recognize my weakness, I smile and say nothing, because kings do not explain their scars. If one day you hear my name in the wind, know it still speaks yours first. For even if the world forgets my story, my heart will remember you as its empire. I was taught to walk like nothing breaks me, to smile as if storms fear my shadow. But no one warned me that love would be the sharpest blade I'd ever face. I have ruled mornings and conquered nights, yet lost myself in the echo of your absence. The desert knows my footsteps by heart. It has heard my confessions when the world was asleep. I loved you without witnesses, without promises written in gold. Only the moon stood between us, a silent judge to my devotion. They call me strong because I do not fall, but strength is not the absence of pain. It is carrying a wound and never letting it define your crown. I learned that some goodbyes never say farewell aloud. They settle quietly in the chest and build a home where hope once lived. If fate ever asks why I stayed loyal to the ache, tell it this: some loves are not meant to be held, they are meant to be endured with honor. So let history remember my victories, let poets dress my name in glory. But only you will know the truth, that even kings bleed, and I chose to bleed for you. I learned early how to command the wind, how to let my voice settle disputes like fate. But no lesson prepared me for the silence you left behind. I have stood where history bends its knee, where names are carved into stone forever. Yet none of those moments ever felt heavier than your absence. I loved you the way deserts love rain, with patience, with prayer, with disbelief, never demanding the sky explain itself, only hoping it would remember me. They saw the crown, not the cost, the calm, not the chaos beneath it. A king is expected to conquer everything, but love is the one land that refuses rule. I kept my pain disciplined, trained it to walk beside me without noise. Because when the world watches, even heartbreak must stand at attention. Some nights I speak to God softly, not asking for miracles or mercy, only asking why some souls meet, if destiny never plans to keep them. If loyalty were measured in blood, mine would stain centuries, for I never replaced you. I only learned how to live without your reply. So let time do what it does best. Blur faces, erase footsteps, soften truth, but know this: wherever you exist now, everything I became still carries the shape of you. I learned to smile the way leaders do, not because the heart is full, but because the world demands certainty. Even when the soul is unsure, they praise my calm, my discipline, called it strength, called it power. They never asked what it costs. To remain unbroken in public, I buried your name in my prayers, not to forget you, but to protect you from a world that misunderstands love. Some loves arrive, like destiny, not to stay, but to shape us. You were the lesson written in fire, the truth I carry without proof. I walked through palaces built on history, through halls echoing with legacy and duty, yet every step reminded me that greatness feels hollow without someone to share it with. I mastered the art of silence because explanations weaken authority, but silence also sharpens pain, turning memory into a quiet battlefield. If patience were a kingdom, I would rule it without rebellion, for waiting on what will never return is the longest reign of all. And if one day my story is told in verses dressed with honor and pride, remember this hidden chapter. I was not made strong by victory. I was made strong by love I survived. I never spoke your name in crowded rooms. Some truths lose power when they are overheard. I kept you hidden in my ribs, where even time needed permission to enter. I watched seasons change without you, learned how autumn feels inside a man. Leaves fell the way promises do, quietly, without warning, without blame. They saw my victories rise like monuments, but never noticed what I laid down to build them. Every triumph asked for a sacrifice, and you were the one fate chose most often. I loved you without conditions, without contracts signed by destiny, just a heart standing alone, refusing to retreat even when abandoned. Some nights the past returns uninvited, sits beside me like an old friend. It asks nothing, says nothing. It only reminds me who I was before strength. If love is measured by endurance, then mine has crossed centuries. I did not move on. I simply learned how to carry forever lightly. So let the world remember my discipline, my restraint, my unshaken gaze. But understand this final truth. The strongest man is not the one who forgets, but the one who remembers and still chooses honor. I once believed crowns were made of gold, that power lived in titles and command. But I learned too late. Real weight is carried by the heart. I stood alone where echoes follow footsteps, where even shadows respect distance. And in that solitude, I understood why kings rarely speak of love. You were never a weakness. You were the test I was never meant to pass. Some souls are not rewards. They are revelations. I gave you loyalty without ownership, faith without demands, love without chains. Because the purest devotion never begs to stay. Time tried to negotiate with me, offered replacements, distractions, forgetfulness. I refused every deal. Some losses must remain untouched. If destiny had mercy, it would have let me keep you. But destiny prefers legends over happiness and sacrifice over comfort. So I became the man history expected, composed, unshaken, disciplined. Yet every step forward was built on the ground you once stood on. When my name is spoken with respect, when my silence is mistaken for peace, know this truth beneath the surface. I did not rise because I was fearless. I rose because I survived love. And if somewhere, someday, you feel an unexplained ache in your chest, that is not sadness. That is my heart remembering you, without permission. One day my silence will be studied, mistaken for wisdom, interpreted as strength carved from discipline. Few will know it was grief that taught me restraint. They will write of my patience, call it vision, call it mastery of self. But patience was not a choice. It was the only way to survive loving you. I outlived the version of myself that still waited for your footsteps. I buried that man with honor and wore his memory like armor. Empires rise quietly, just like heartbreak, brick by brick, breath by breath, until loss becomes architecture. I learned that destiny does not ask permission. It enters, rearranges the soul, then leaves without explanation. You were destiny's handwriting on my heart. I stopped asking why long ago. Some questions weaken a king. Instead, I asked how to stand, how to rule, how to endure. If love had a language, ours was silence and loyalty. No promises, no demands, just two souls understanding that some bonds exist beyond possession. So, when history repeats my name, let it echo with respect. But know this, hidden between lines, my greatest legacy was not what I ruled, but what I lost and never replaced. If eternity ever questions my silence, asks why my soul walks with measured steps, I will answer calmly. Some loves change the way a man exists forever. I no longer wait for your return. Waiting is a hope I buried with dignity. But absence does not mean erasure. It means learning how to breathe around a memory. I have spoken to fate face to face and learned it respects those who do not beg. So I carried you without complaint, like a truth too sacred for argument. Even now, in moments untouched by noise, I feel your presence not as pain, but as a reminder that my heart once chose purity over possession. They say time heals all wounds, but time only teaches us where to place them. Mine rests quietly behind my strength, never bleeding, never forgotten. If there is another life beyond this one, I will not search for you desperately. I will trust destiny to recognize us. For souls that met once never truly lose their way back. Until then, I walk alone with grace, unbittered, unbroken, unclaimed, because loving you did not ruin me. It refined me. And if my name reaches you through history, wind, or whispered prayer, know this final truth. I did not lose you in this world. I carried you beyond it.